High gas prices aren't just impacting cars, they're impacting boats too. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the impact that this has on a town that relies heavily on boating for tourism.
Takes yet another turn. President Biden holds a meeting at the White House with his top military leaders. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have the latest on the story coming up.
Date's most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abby. So it seems we dodged a bullet today in talking about the weather, but storms are in the forecast. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now. Nick.
Yeah, we did dodge a bullet in terms of the severe threat. Jordan, Doug and I are keeping a very close eye on that this afternoon to see if we had any few but potentially really severe storms that fired up. Thankfully, that didn't come to fruition because we had just a lot of cloud cover sticking around all day long. That did have a little bit of a limit in terms of how much we could warm up today, but after we started at 54, we actually went higher than this high of 64. I saw a drop and top out of 66 today. There's your big reason why we dodged the bullet. The cloud cover just held on. We couldn't get really unstable, but as this frontal system continues to work on it, we are starting to see more scattered showers, even maybe a couple of tiny thunderstorms firing up. This is going to be the overall trend, especially in our southern counties as we go throughout the course of the night. And we'll continue with the scattered chances for thunderstorms. Nothing really severe, though, during the day tomorrow, Jordan, but we're going to trend warmer with highs near 76. But I've got another shot for severe weather in the forecast. We'll break that down for you here in a few.
Nick, thank you as always. A man wanted in Cherokee County, Kansas for attempted murder is arrested after a police chase in Springfield, Missouri. That man, 38-year-old Sean Houston. Last night, a Greene County Sheriff's deputy tried to pull over the driver of an SUV for suspicion of drunk driving. Authorities say Houston drove off but was stopped with spike strips. A woman in the vehicle was also arrested. Detectives identified Houston as a suspect in a shooting west of Baxter Springs early Monday morning. Cherokee County Sheriff David Grove says a male victim in that shooting was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. While many drivers have been feeling pain at the pump, so have boat owners. Areas like Grand Lake that rely heavily on boating and tourism could face that impact. KON's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with a worker at an outdoor store, also the area chamber, as to how this could affect Grand Lake's economy this summer.
Gas prices aren't just affecting car owners, but boat owners as well.
I have seen that the boat numbers in tournaments are down a little bit already this year.
Grand Lake is home to many fishing tournaments, especially during the summer months. But David Hale, owner of Honey Creek Outdoors in Grove, says he's already seen the effects these gas prices can have.
A couple of our big trails that normally run 280 to 300 boats is down around the 250 boat deal now. So it is going to have a impact on the whole economy here, I think, before the year's over.
Hale says he's heard from boat owners dealing with the increase.
Oh yeah, definitely. We hear it. Every fisherman comes in here, oh, I got to go put $200 in my boat, where last year it took them $100 to fill their boat up. So yeah, they all complain about it, and rightfully so. I mean, it's something they really enjoy to do. Now it's costing them a whole lot more money to do it.
And the high gas prices don't just affect those who drive boats, also the town, which relies on boating for tourism.
You know, we have concerns. Obviously, every dollar that people are having to spend because of inflation or higher prices, that's less money that they can use whenever they're traveling and visiting places.
Donnie Crane, president of the Grove Area Chamber, says he hopes that amid this surge in prices, Grove and four-state residents will use the opportunity to support locally.
We're definitely watching the prices of gas and inflation, but we're hopeful that people can still take advantage of the lake and be able to enjoy themselves, even when their budgets might be a little bit tight.
In Grove, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
For a look at how gas prices have changed in our area the past year, head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A local florist is selling sunflowers to raise money for Ukraine. The national flower for Ukraine is a sunflower, so Hickden's Florist in Joplin is collaborating with Samaritan's Purse to raise money for Ukraine by selling sunflowers. You can add one or more to your purchase of any arrangement, and all proceeds are going to go to help Ukraine.
Even just a little sunflower will make someone else's day, but it'll also go a long way to help Samaritan's Purse in their relief efforts in Ukraine.
The additional sunflowers are going to cost $5 per stem. Joplin School District is recognizing a school resource officer as the Support Staff of the Year. Officer Jason Barchuk has worked for the JPD for 16 years. 11 of those years were also spent with the school district. Officer Barchak says working with the school has been rewarding.
He's just kind of a guy that does it all for us. Obviously, he has a responsibility in the building as to being a police officer in the building for us and help us out with the safety aspect of things. But he does so much more than that for us, for the kids, and really for the community at large.
The award is decided by administrative staff who use a ratings system to come up with a winner. Republicans aren't the only ones voicing concerns over the Biden administration's decision to end a Title 42 next month. Enacted during the beginning of the pandemic, the policy allows officials to quickly turn away migrants at the border. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest on why more Democrats are breaking ranks with the Biden administration.
Groups of migrants busted the nation's capital over the last week as part of a strategy to push the Biden administration to stem the flow at the southern border, which critics warn could soon turn into a flood.
It has just gotten worse and worse.
Republicans argue now is not the time to end Title 42, a Trump-era policy that allows for the quick deportation of migrants to prevent the spread of COVID. The order is set to end next month after the CDC ruled it unnecessary.
We've proposed a plan, so that's a plan that is being implemented. In terms of any ideas to address immigration, including any delay of Title 42, that would require congressional action.
Some Democrats are siding with Republicans. At least 10 senators are pushing for President Biden to reconsider. Concerned Republicans could pummel Democrats over the issue in the midterms.
To just wipe it to the side as if it's not a national security issue is the reason why you're seeing so much pushback from Democrats in an election year.
Now, Axios reports the president is weighing whether to delay lifting the order in an attempt to buy more time and avoid a massive influx of migrants.
And we are in the Department of Homeland Security and throughout the government planning accordingly.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is scheduled to testify before the House Judiciary Committee next week, where Republicans are expected to grill him over what the Biden administration intends to do after Title 42 ends. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
The battle for a key region in eastern Ukraine growing more intense. President Biden says the U.S. is going to help aid the Ukrainians in their fight with more equipment. Fox's Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
President Biden and his top military brass sitting down as the Russian offensive in eastern Ukraine is ramping up.
We have been working with the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian military to determine exactly the kind of security assistance they need for this stage in the war.
The administration is planning to provide heavier weapons to Ukraine as Russia is bent on taking the Donbas region. That would provide Russian President Vladimir Putin with a strategic win.
Right now, Putin still thinks he has a war he can win out in the east. Ukraine stopped Putin around Kyiv, and they have to try to do the same thing in the east.
The Kremlin says they sent a list of demands to Ukraine to end the fighting, but it's unclear what was in the list. The Secretary General of the United Nations has requested meetings with both presidents of Ukraine and Russia. Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation for the port city of Mariupol is dire.
I want to urge everyone who can listen to use those corridors to the maximum possibility.
The UN Refugee Agency says 5 million people have fled Ukraine, far more than even the worst-case estimates. The Pentagon says Russia has lost a quarter of the forces it began the war with. Tuesday, Moscow sent the West a warning, test launching a huge new intercontinental ballistic missile.
It will have no equivalents in the world for a long time, and will make think twice those who, in the heat of frantic, aggressive rhetoric, try to threaten our country.
The Pentagon says they do not consider President Putin's words or the launch to be a threat. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 and Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Boyd Hazel served in the U.S. Army from 1944 to 1952. Native of Altamont, Kansas, Hazel was stationed in Japan, France, also Germany, and we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Boyd Hazel, tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later, a Southeast Kansas football coach deciding to call it a career after 50 years on the sideline. Going to hear from him in sports.
At some
It was a bit chilly to start the afternoon now, but temperatures did ultimately turn mild despite quite a bit of cloud cover. And now that we're getting late into the evening, we're now beginning to see some scattered showers, maybe the early signs of a few thunderstorms popping up as well. But you can see how we went from a cold Tuesday morning to the mid-60s the other day, dropping back into the mid-50s this morning, and officially we at least hit 65 or 66 degrees at Joplin Regional. That's the official high for today. An amazing feat despite all the cloud cover. On the other hand, we were glad to have this cloud cover stick around because this is what kept our atmosphere from turning unstable throughout the course of the day. Doug and I were looking at things the other day, and we both agreed that if we had peaks of sun, we would have been a little bit in trouble with a better shot to see those isolated supercells pop up. Thankfully, though, that did not come to fruition. But now that we're starting to see the frontal system itself work on in, we are starting to see some rain echoes popping up on the radar network. The only area of rain that I can see on the board right now is for southern and southeastern parts of Jasper County, from the Joplin area back to about Reeds and Sarcoxy as you go north along Missouri 37. And that rain did leave a little bit of wet pavement behind from the 7th range line. Other than that, still a bit mild at 63, north-northwesterly wind at 5. And the humidity really starting to stack up now at 90%. Lower to middle 60s. That's where we're still sitting right now, but these numbers are going to drop off throughout the course of the night because that south wind we had today, that was kind of up there. It's starting to switch around now as our frontal system decides to push on through. Well, I'll show you where that front is right now, though, once we widen the view out in the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Here is the front itself. So we had the lifting mechanisms at the surface in place, but upstairs, we just had a tiny little short wave here, and it wasn't very strong, so there wasn't really much gumph, or umption rather, to really get anything going, which was another saving grace in terms of the severe threat, which is pretty much dwindled off as we speak. But as long as that front is going to set up shop for the night, especially in our southern counties, we're going to watch for chances for scattered showers, a couple of thunderstorms. Not really concerned about anything severe, but if anything, try to turn a bit strong. Maybe some hailstones. That's really about it. All these rain chances in the clouds will drop us into the 50s for tomorrow morning, but that cold front that was trying to work in is actually going to lift back north throughout the course of the day. So even with some possible scattered showers and a couple of storms during the day, and despite mostly cloudy skies, we're going to go from 58 in the morning, 69 by noon, and topping out at 76, so we're going to trend warmer as we go throughout your Thursday. Any big storms that try to get going out to the west are going to mainly stay out to the west, but it's still something we'll keep an eye on. But the overall setup for Friday has us capped, so we're dry and we're warm, with highs back in the lower 80s. Quick note I wanted to point to you all. We still got to watch Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and going into Sunday. That's the next big system on the way. And this looks like a better shot, not just for more widespread storms, but another shot for severe weather. 76 tomorrow, 81, looking good to start the weekend out. 79 Saturday, 65 on Sunday, and then staying mild and at least a bit of a dry stretch for the early work week ahead, Jordan.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all good temperatures. Nick Kelly, we'll see you a little bit. Thanks so much. Coming up, many health officials saying don't celebrate yet.
The COVID outbreak isn't over yet. There could be more vaccines and more mandates coming soon. I'm Jonathan Seri. I'll have details coming up.
First, here's a look at our tower camera, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. Check it out anytime on our website, koamnewsnow.com/power.
Your vacation.
As confusion continues over those mask mandates on public transportation, more cities and states are reinstating masking in public. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Another possible vaccine breakthrough as Americans consider a fourth dose. Moderna announcing test results of a booster shot targeting both the original COVID strain and a variant, with the new doses resulting in higher protection against several strains, including Omicron. The company is now developing a shot specifically targeting Omicron, but doctors say not everyone will need it.
What we will determine in the future for who needs fourth, even more doses, are your susceptibility to severe breakthrough infections.
COVID cases are on the rise in the U.S., more than 41,000 per day on average, up almost 1/3 from just a month ago. And that's prompting the reinstatement of some mask mandates, including in Philadelphia, which brought back its mandate on Monday, and Milwaukee, where masking requirements for schools went back into effect on Wednesday. Officials say they're following the science, but some doctors claim the mandates are stopping a much-needed pivot from containment to mitigation.
The idea of mitigation is a choice to take a vaccine, which I think works, to wear a mask if you're at high risk in close quarters, not forced. That's the key distinction here.
Meanwhile, confusion continues over masking requirements on public transportation after a judge struck down a federal mandate on Monday.
Mr. President, should people continue to wear masks on planes?
That's up to them. The Justice Department says it will not appeal the judge's ruling unless the CDC requests it. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
The CDC has asked the Justice Department to go to court and appeal the ruling that got rid of the travel mask mandate. All right, still ahead, there were much more restrictive COVID restrictions overseas.
Chinese officials are continuing to lift COVID-19 restrictions, allowing millions of residents in Shanghai to leave their homes for the first time in weeks. In London, I'm Alex Hogan with more on this story coming up.
Silver Dollar City.
One of China's largest cities finally starting to reopen after weeks of strict COVID-19 lockdowns. Millions of residents in Shanghai going to be able to leave their homes and return to work as COVID-19 cases there decline in parts of the metropolis. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more now from London.
An additional 4 million residents in Shanghai will now be allowed to leave their homes as officials ease COVID-19 restrictions. For the first time in weeks, the Chinese Ministry of Health says that in some parts of the city, the virus is, quote, under effective control. 12 million of the city's 25 million residents will now be able to return to some form of normalcy since the first round of easing began last week.
Over the last few days, we have focused on carrying out tests and screenings in the closed-off management areas, restrictive control areas, and prevention areas. We reclassified those areas on Tuesday based on the results of phase screenings.
More than 14,000 people were discharged Tuesday from makeshift hospitals in Shanghai. Video from one facility shows droves of people getting onto buses at a convention center that was converted into a COVID-19 quarantine facility. At least 30,000 residents have left facilities like this one in the past several days, a sign the country is turning the corner on the current surge. Meanwhile, the strict lockdown left many factories and businesses closed for several weeks, posing an ongoing threat to the global economy. On Tuesday, the International Monetary Fund reduced its forecast of the Chinese growth this year, attributing it to the weeks-long lockdown of Shanghai.
To put it very simply, we are facing a major setback for the world economy because the pandemic's impact is not yet over.
The IMF says that Shanghai's lockdowns will have a ripple effect on the global economy, creating supply chain disruptions in the months to come. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
This dress isn't in Kansas anymore, and it's expected to fetch some big bucks from the highest bidder. Details on what was the Lost Wizard of Oz dress next.
Area hearing has been.
A lost Dorothy dress worn by Judy Garland in the 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz is going up for auction. On May 24th, one of the costumes Garland wore in the beloved musical fantasy film is set to be auctioned off during Bonham's classic Hollywood film and television sale in LA. The white blouse and blue dress combo is expected to fetch between $800,000 and $1.2 million. The proceeds from the sale are going to benefit the Catholic University of America's Department of Drama. The dress was originally gifted to the former head of the university's drama department in 1973, then went missing in the 80s, only to be recently rediscovered. Well, a new survey suggests video games are becoming more popular among older adults. According to a new survey by gaming website Fandom Spot, more seniors are hopping into video gaming. The site interviewed 1,000 players ages 65 and older. And they found more than 3/4 of the participants said the games helped them keep a younger and healthier mind. while 76% reported it helped them have a better relationship with friends and family, right? The kiddos, the grandkids. About half of them said gaming has improved their mental health. And I'll tell you, some of those games, you can really work up a sweat too. The Wii, I remember that, the Wii, all the sports games, really work up a sweat. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. The Miami Fire Department is restoring some equipment that's been there more than 70 years.
Flames threatening hundreds of structures in Arizona. I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. I'll have details coming up.
Megan. People in Miami today had the chance to get some good food while helping to restore a well-known fire truck. The Miami Fire Department today held a barbecue fundraiser to help pay for restoration of a fire truck that's been part of the department since 1946. Now, when what we're about to see right there is restored, the truck is going to be used in parades and other traditions in Miami. People in the community say the truck symbolizes the longevity of the fire department and honors the men and women who've been a part of the department.
We've got gentlemen that are retired that worked on this truck, rode on the tailboard of this truck, and it's a symbol for the fire department of, you know, our longevity and our accomplishments.
Fire department is hoping to raise $15,000. People in Uniontown, Kansas looking to get in shape for swimsuit season. Now have a new option. The school district has reopened the Uniontown Fitness Center. It was closed to the public because of COVID. Now it's open before and after school during the week and all day on weekends. A key to access it costs $10.
In general, we want it open. We want parents and people to enjoy the space and, you know, contribute to their own mental and physical health.
Not safe.
Fitness Center is located on the southeast corner of the junior and senior high school. There's a new marijuana dispensary in Ottawa County just in time for 420, the unofficial holiday for marijuana. According to Canatech firm Kerna, marijuana sales are expected to hit $130 million today, which would be up 16% from a year ago. The owner of State Line X1, John Thomas Buck, chose the holiday for his grand opening.
It's kind of a novelty holiday to some, but some, you know, take it serious as a day to connect with people they care about and having a good relaxing day, I believe. And I believe it's just growing as a day to actually see and look forward to in a holiday calendar.
Now, marijuana is legal for recreational use in Oklahoma. In Missouri, it's only allowed for medicinal use, and it's completely illegal in Kansas. Mandatory evacuations underway in parts of Arizona as 2 wildfires burn. Forecasters say dry weather conditions could keep fueling these flames. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
Flames and clouds of smoke closing in on these homes in Flagstaff today. The tunnel fire exploding overnight, expanding by about 11,000 acres. Fire managers say the fast-moving flames are consuming dry grass, pine, and brush. The conditions driving more than 2,000 residents from their homes.
I was on the phone with my friend who lives down the street, and I said, the smoke's right over our house. She looks towards my house and she goes, oh yeah, the smoke's over your house.
The Weather Service says high winds are further fueling the flames. At times, firefighters are battling gusts around 30 miles per hour.
It's all dependent on the weather, you know. So one thing, we always base our tactics not relying on aircraft. Aircraft are a plus.
Dry conditions also fueling the Crooks fire near Prescott, Arizona. So far, the flames have burned 1,600 acres.
I'm all ready to go if I get the order to go.
Forest Service officials are bracing for more damage.
All of the people that are involved here are very worried about the treacherous winds. Currently, the fire is burning within the forest.
Arizona is one of several states out west seeing an early start to the fire season. The National Interagency Fire Center reports nearly 2,000 firefighters and support personnel are battling more than a dozen large fires in the region. The National Weather Service says wind and low humidity could further fuel fires throughout the week. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
A bit later, Depp's defamation suit.
Actor Johnny Depp back in the hot seat for day 2 of his defamation trial against ex-wife Amber Heard. I'm David Spunt. The story coming up.
Even though our main focus today was to keep an eye on the potential for strong to severe storms, we were certainly keeping an eye on temperatures too, because it felt I'm honest with you, it's a bit chilly throughout the course of the day, at least before we got deeper into the afternoon. But we still trended warmer compared to the lows near 40 we saw the other day, and topping out in the mid-60s yesterday afternoon. Mid-50s is where we all started this morning. But despite all the clouds, we did go into the mid-60s for afternoon highs. Joplin Regional, last I checked, topped out around 66 degrees this afternoon, and that's despite all this cloud cover. But again, this was our saving grace. If we had sunshine break out earlier in the afternoon between noon and 2 o'clock, we would be in a much better, for lack of a better expression there, setup for some of those isolated, scattered supercell thunderstorms. But the cloud cover held firm. We couldn't get quite unstable, so that is why we kept quiet for much of the afternoon, much of the evening so far. But if we take a latest look at the radar, we're starting to see even more rain echoes popping up, picking up on a couple of showers, maybe a low-end thunderstorm just on the western side of Neosho, right on top of Seneca, and another one on the southeast side of Miami, south and east of the Turnpike. I still think this is the beginnings of the scattered showers and storms that we'll see during the overnight, but based on how things look now, we are not really worried about a severe threat, so that's certainly good news as we venture deeper into the night ahead of us. 63 in Joplin, north wind at 5. Quick check of temperatures elsewhere has everybody mainly in the lower to middle 60s still, but as these rain chances start to ramp up with our approaching front, we are going to see these numbers eventually drop back into the 50s. So the cold front itself is on the move, but the upper level support wasn't there either. Yeah, we have a weak upper level wave, but it's just that, weak. So not a lot of upper level support to help these thunderstorms during the afternoon get going as well. But we've got some developing showers and storms on the board now, so we're going to hold on to those chances, especially along and south of Interstate 44 during the night into tomorrow morning. Other than that, mostly cloudy, lows in the 50s. We'll continue to see the cold front actually lift back north throughout the day. So that's going to keep some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms going during the day. But as that front lifts back north, the south wind returns, and it'll take us from 58 in the morning to 69 by noon, and highs near 76. Certainly going to feel a lot better temperature-wise compared to today. Any big storms that we see with the returning front, it's going to stay mainly out to the west, but it's still something we'll watch. But mainly we'll look okay Thursday evening and certainly going into Friday with warm air aloft. We're dry and warm at the surface too, with highs in the lower 80s. With that said, though, heading into the weekend after a quiet Friday, here's the next big storm system with a couple upper-level lows to watch Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, going into Sunday. A better shot for storms and another severe threat with wind and hail looking like the primary risk for now. So that's the next big system we're watching closely. Let's say 76 tomorrow. Again, that's despite the clouds and the thunderstorm chances. 81, dry, nice to kick off the weekend Friday. 79 Saturday, 65 Sunday. Then dry early next week with 60s and 70s, Jordan.
And the nighttime temperatures are warming up too, which is nice.
It is.
Hey, Kelly, thank you. New type of blood test could become the next frontier in cancer screening. It's known as a liquid biopsy, designed to detect dozens of cancers before there are even any signs of disease. Kate Smith has this story.
Joyce Ayers thought she was a healthy 74-year-old when she volunteered to give a blood sample for research. What happened next was a shock.
I got a call that said, "We're finding something here and we want to look at it a little bit more."
Ayers was participating in a test known as liquid biopsy. Researchers in Portland, Oregon screened people with no signs of cancer as a method of early detection. After being called back for further tests, Ayers was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma.
The tests work by checking DNA fragments from tumor cells, but the question is whether this sort of screening can cut the nation's death rate from cancer.
Government researchers are planning a large experiment with as many as 200,000 participants to see whether blood tests can save lives.
Once we get to the point where this trial is up and running, we'll need many Americans to sign up and participate.
Grail is one of the companies making the blood tests and marketing them to adults at higher risk for cancer.
And if we can find these cancers at earlier stages, before people have symptoms, they're offered many more options for effective treatment, and they're often curable.
The concern is that screenings sometimes do more harm than good, bringing false positives and unnecessary costs. But for Ayers, the early diagnosis means treatment is already behind her.
I'm 75 and very much alive. That's a good one. I'm alive, and I'm going to stay alive for a while.
Allowing her to greet her 75th birthday with joy. Kate Smith, CBS News.
The White House has announced a goal of cutting the cancer death rate in half over the next 25 years. All right, coming up in sports, Joplin High School naming a new head softball coach. Going to hear from him. Plus, 8 Webb City student athletes signing today to continue their careers at the collegiate level. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Today is a big day for a big group of Webb City High School student athletes. 8 Webb City seniors signed today to continue their careers at the college level. Now in that group, Eric Fitch signs this afternoon to play baseball at State Fair Community College. Fitch was a first-team All-COC pick last year and an All-District selection. Josie Speakerwright is heading just up the road to Ozark Christian College to play basketball. And had one football signing today. Skylar Denton is headed to Springfield to play tight end for Evangel.
The coaches were nice, their program was nice, their beliefs. Just followed what I wanted to do, and I felt like I'd fit in the best there.
I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I've pretty much always wanted to play college basketball. I didn't really know where or what that opportunity would look like, but I'm just really thankful for the opportunity and that I get to do this.
It's just been a big stress reliever. I've been thinking about it for a while, ever since I told the coaches that I wanted to be there, and it's just great to finally get it over with and know that I'm actually going.
You can check out more of our interviews with the Webb City signees in this story on the sports page at KOAMNewsNow.com. Well, Joplin High School has a new head softball coach. The school named Brendan Schneider the new leader of the program this morning. Schneider has been an assistant coach on the baseball team for the last 5 years, but he's also no stranger to the softball program. Schneider has previously been an assistant softball coach for 3 of those 5 years. Now, for the first time, he'll get his shot at being a head coach at Joplin High School.
With Coach Flores, he's done such a great job here. Really respected him, and I worked with him for a while and just loved everything that he did. And so this is my home. You know, I've been here for 5 years. We moved down here for my wife to be the head softball coach, and I've grown to love the place. And this was kind of one of those things when it came open, I just had to jump at it. So I was very excited, and thankfully I was picked for the job.
Riverton head football coach Johnny Mallett has announced his retirement. Mallett spent the last 6 years as the Rams head coach, his second stint with the program. Mallett has been coaching in the area for the last 50 years, 43 at the prep level, 7 years at the college level. 41 of his 43 years in high school have been at Galena, Baxter Springs, and Riverton. We caught up with Coach Mallett today to talk about his retirement and what kept him in Southeast Kansas for so many years.
I tell you what, I'm an old Galena boy and grew up in the CNC League, but I wanted to have my kids know their grandparents, and they all live back here. And I couldn't think of a better spot than old Galena, Riverton, Baxter, you know. People ask me, oh, are you going to miss football, Johnny? You know, and I said, I'll miss the kids more than I will the game of football.
And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
After an emotional first day in the stand, Johnny Depp back in the hot seat. Depp suing his ex-wife Amber Heard in a bombshell $50 million defamation lawsuit after she published a 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post alleging abuse. Heard never mentioned Depp's name, but he says the article severely damaged his career nonetheless. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has more now from Fairfax, Virginia.
Johnny Depp returned to the stand in a Virginia courtroom Wednesday in his defamation case against ex-wife Amber Heard, and the Pirates of the Caribbean star did not mince words.
I was sort of not allowed to be right, not allowed to have a voice. So at a certain point, when what enters your mind is you start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship with your mother, in a sense.
He went on to claim the Aquaman actress berated and attacked him constantly during their marriage. Depp claims his ex-wife hurled a large bottle of vodka at him, smashing his hand and severing the tip of his middle finger during an argument in Australia while he was filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5. The actor said Heard extinguished a cigarette on his face during an altercation. When asked why he stayed in the marriage, Depp said he stayed with his, quote, abusive ex-wife because of past childhood abuse and trauma. The actor says the constant stress of the relationship wreaked havoc on his mental health and said he often needed to take solace in bathrooms.
It's not a happy day. It's not a happy week. It's not a happy month when you're constantly being told how wrong you are about this or that, what an idiot you are.
Depp told jurors he wanted to make things work with Amber Heard, but there were, quote, too many lines crossed. In Fairfax, Virginia, David Spunt, Fox News.
All right, going to preview a new Viking movie coming up. New in theaters this week is the Viking epic The Northman, starring Alexander Skarsgård. It's a real passion project for the star, who physically transforms in the role. We'll talk to them all about it, including the most exhausting parts of this performance and how his true blood vampire even provided inspiration for the whole role along the way. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
I will avenge you, father.
Alexander Skarsgård stars in and produces the vengeance-fueled Viking saga, The Northman.
Some of my earliest memories are being mesmerized by these rune stones and the runic inscription and these tales of Viking expeditions to faraway lands.
The idea to do a movie like this began 10 years ago. Along the way was another Viking prince, True Blood's Eric Northman.
There's a little bit of overlap with Northman and the other Northmen. So did that have any effect on leading you here too, just having another Viking prince's story along the way, even to fuel the fascination?
I think so. Maybe subconsciously, but it awakens something. Shooting, so in True Blood, in season 2, I believe, there's a flashback to when Eric was human and during the Viking Age and when he was turned into a vampire. And shooting those, it was just a couple of days, I just loved it.
He said then it was about developing something large scale. Directed by Robert Eggers, they created this epic. Skarsgård took on an intense physicality to inhabit the role, and he shared one of the most exhausting scenes, which centered around a transformation with his character's inner beast.
Hamlet is a hybrid of a wolf and a bear, and that transformation was, it was a very long, wet night shooting that, and because again they go into almost a trance, and it was thrilling to shoot, but I was very tired by the end of that.
Fate has no mercy.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
I don't know about all that Viking stuff. I'd watch it. The vampire stuff, definitely not. Viking stuff, I'd watch it. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a young elephant swimming at the Houston Zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.